Hey guys, welcome to another episode in the deep playthrough of PGR4. I will do commentary after winning this race. The issue with this one was that it actually didn't take that long to do compared to other events, but it was a big surprise. I knew it's called the Behemoth. It's one of the final stages or events in the arcade modes, and a lot of people online said that's way for sure the hardest one, and I was like, yeah, how can it be that hard? It's just the Nurburgring that there was an earlier event also, a race Nurburgring in the wet. This is in the dry, so I was like, okay, how hard can it be compared to that one? But then I noticed it is the Nurburgring in reverse, which I do really like. There's not a lot of games that actually allow you to play the Nurburgring in reverse. So it did take some practice, but actually already an hour ago, or maybe even longer, I already basically won it. Only that last very slow hairpin before the finish line, like 50 meters before the finish line, I misshifted and I got stuck. And this car really, you need to keep it in the revs, because in low revs it barely moves. And then I got overtaken. So then I had to do quite some other attempts to get through it. And I was lucky in this one, because also that section on the Noordslijf itself at the end, where you have like those left-right corners, I totally screwed that up. It was way too slow. And also one of the S-bends in this letter, that really final part, is the GP track that is attached to the Noordslijf in this layout. There is like at the ending, just before you go downhill towards that big 180-degree corner, like that half circle corner at the bottom of the hill, there is like an S section that's quite fast, but I somehow thought, oh, this is like a super tight S section, so I way overbrake there, so I could just as well have been overtaken. But yeah, it worked out. A win is a win, so it's not the cleanest, but good enough for me. What I also had to do, because compared to the other episodes in the playthrough, there are two settings in the emulator. One is lower quality but higher frame rate, and the other is higher quality, lower frame rate. I used the latter one, but that one somehow, also not only just because of the higher quality, but also because there's actually a bug, I would say, with the lower quality one, in the sense that night races, any illuminescent source, like a light source, they don't appear bright. They appear very muted. So in night races, it totally looks off. So that is also one of the reasons I was really happy to figure out, because otherwise I probably would have not continued playing the game, because it looked that off. At least not the emulator version. But I was very happy to find out that the higher quality setting actually does render those lights pretty much correctly, I would say. The only thing is that there is a big performance impact for that higher quality version. So because apparently in the background it overdraws a lot of things. It calculates a lot of things that are not necessary, that are not on screen. But my solution to that was just to cap the frame rate at 30, and then it was pretty playable. But there's one exception to that rule, and that is the Nurburgring, especially the Noordslijf variant in the sun. Then the high quality settings of the emulator totally overexpose the sunshine to the point where you barely can see you cannot in certain S sections, there are only a couple of bends, but you can really hardly see the track anymore, because it's just a yellow bright haze, so to say, or glaze, I don't know how you say that, but and so that is one reason that really made it difficult, this very long events, and which is also annoying because those blind spots with the overexposed sun glare is all the way at the end. It's the GP track, which is after you drive the full Nordschleife. So that really was a bit tricky. And also in the middle of the Nordschleife, when putting it to high quality, just before the corner sections, just before the straight towards the carousel, there was some significant slowdown, really like major stuttering. So for this attempt, because I really didn't want to spend another 5 hours, because yeah, it's basically a new track, the Nurburgring in reverse, so it does take some practicing and learning, the braking points, etc. But I did revert it back to the lower quality 60 FPS version, which worked out perfectly fine. And also when it's daylight, you don't really notice that lighting issue that the lower version of the emulator has in nighttime. It actually is better because it also fixes that. That's only on this track, but on the GP Nurburgring section, it fixes that overexposure of the sun glare issue. So so it fixed the stuttering, it fixed the overexposure, but there's a moral to the story, or like not a conclusion, but a bottom line is what I wanted to say. It's a very long rambling intro to what I want to say. I really find people that say, oh, it must be 60 FPS and blah blah blah. I never really understood them that well because or it's preference, but I really prefer to lower the frame rate and have more bells and whistles, more graphical quality, than lower graphical quality and higher frame rate. But in a race like this, I do have to say they're right. It makes a hell of a lot of difference whether you play in 30 FPS or 60 FPS. It's so much more fluent. So. And maybe even, because I'm really used to lower frame rates, I also actually find it a bit nostalgic, like in the good old days, like 10, 20 years ago, when you really had like games that could really, like Crysis, that really punish your graphics card. And then it was not like with the RTX generation from now that you basically can run any game maxed out, no problem. No, there you really had to push the limit. So, and that meant also having some stuttering and lower frame rates, because each setting that you turned on extra, for example in Crysis, lowered your frame rate significantly. So I am used to it from the good old days because I really try to put all the settings on and have the highest graphical quality. But to be honest, I'm not even sure whether this emulator actually always runs at a stable 30 FPS. I imagine it does, but it could also be that it's maybe sometimes in the 25 or something. I don't have a frame rate counter, so I don't really know. But the only thing I can tell is compared to 60 FPS and what this playthrough, this emulator, what I usually use, like the high quality 30 FPS, it's a big difference in smoothness and in responsiveness of the car. So that putting it too low, it really helped make it easier to get this Behemoth challenge. But I will revert it back to a higher quality 30 FPS because this is the exception to the rule. This one, in a lot of other tracks, the what did I want to say? There are night races, and then I cannot constantly switch over to low quality, high quality, because you have to stop the recording, you have to change the config setting. So I will just also, because I played the whole playthrough already at 30 FPS high quality, I will just revert back to that. So it really was nice to see, and it's actually a bummer because after this game I want to do a Drive Club playthrough. That's a game that totally went below my radar. At the time of release, I think 2013 or something, I don't really know, but there with a hacked PlayStation, you can get it to 60 FPS, but I don't have a hacked PlayStation, or an, how do you say it, not hacked, but yeah, maybe hacked is the word. Anyways, you have to change something in the firmware probably, and then you can unlock the 60 FPS, but for now how it is, it's 30 FPS, and initially I was like, oh, no problem, 30 FPS is no problem, but now I know I had like a direct comparison in this track between 30 and 60. I'm actually a bit bummed out that I cannot get Drive Club at 60, but yeah, it is what it is. Anywho, for the record, because this was the Behemoth, the biggest, or for many people they say the hardest event in the game, I disagree. I found there were certain timed runs and hot laps that were way harder for me than this one. But it maybe also has to do with the fact of with how familiar you already are from other racing games with that long Nurburgring Nordschleife layout. I'm pretty familiar with it. Even in reverse, it does click quite quickly. But anyway, for many it was the hardest one. So to round it off nicely, let's watch the replay. And then I will also have to end the episode, so it will not be that long of an episode. It's only like the win run, me rambling in the middle, and then the replay, because then I will have to stop the episode and the emulator to enable back that high quality 30 FPS setting for the final chapter that we have to do, because this concluded the 9th. This event concluded the 9th out of 10 chapters in the arcade mode, but we still have to do 8 chapters on bikes, and bikes are very twitchy and frame rate is important, so it may be that for the bikes I will enable the 60 FPS mode actually with some lower quality. But yeah, I'm rambling to no without end, so let's stop that and watch the replay. Here we go. To be honest, even the replays in 60, it's a huge difference. It's so much more smooth. By the way, this was the first time that I had such a, that's really a tip for this event. Try to get, you have like the F50 that's mostly in first, and then you have the FXX in second, or maybe the other way around, but try from, you never really get, at least I don't, through the first couple of corners into first place, but you can get quite quick, easily in third place, or maybe fourth, but then you can draft behind the bikes and you can overtake the bikes quite easily, so then you're in third place. Try not to, after the first couple of corners, be too close to the second place car, which are quicker than your car somehow in this game. But have some distance, not too long, but yeah, I don't know, 30, 60 feet approximately, because you want to be able to use the slipstream and really for a longer amount of time, that it really builds up your speed, because then you can slingshot past with like a 20 kmh difference. This was the first time that slingshot went so well, because I really was from quite far behind. I was in his draft, in his slipstream, and all the time getting towards him, my car kept accelerating, kept going quicker and quicker. So I really slingshotted past actually both of them. So I never was in first place already after the straight, but it is possible. So the key there is not to stick around the behind the second place car too close after the corners. It is possible to really get up to in the back of that second place car already after the corners, but then you don't get that full slingshot effect. You really want to be let's say 60 meters, 60 feet behind him, 20 meters, or maybe a bit more, 30 meters, 90 feet. And then, but not too far, because then you could lose the whole slipstream effect. So I'm not sure what the distance is, but try to keep your distance a bit and make use of that slingshot. Then you can really pass both the second and the first place car on the straight actually. Quickly see that how that went. Here we are still after the corners, just after the corners, entering the straight. Oh fuck me! I'm changing vehicle. I'm such a fucking idiot. Is this us? No, this is the first place car, right? Fucking hell, I'm such a fucking idiot. Is this us? I think this is us. Alright, so this is approximately the distance that you want maybe. Let's go a little bit more back. Yeah, so here we are exiting the corners and entering the full throttle straight, where you really want that slipstream. So here we go. And on this part you can, if you take those first couple of, the 90-degree left-hander and then a right-hander and then left-hander, if you take them very aggressively, you can already be way closer to that second place car. You can be like 10 centimeters off his rear bumper, but that's not what you want. You want some distance like this, because you want to accelerate through the slipstream and then slingshot past. Here first you can also draft behind bikes, I think. So first I drafted behind this bike. Because I'm now already going 230 without any slingshot effect. This car tops out at 220, 225 or so. And now we are, check the speedometer. I'm constantly accelerating, 240 already. Without slingshot, without slipstream, this never happens. Here, pretty crazy, 250. So that is really fun, I would say. The game is really quite deep with its driving model and all the effects. It really feels natural to me. I don't call it an arcade game actually. Many do. For me, it's more a sim than arcade. Its model is way too in depth to call it arcade. If you ask me. also in this middle straight section you can gain a lot on them, because they break a lot, they break for a couple of these flowing corners, but with a bit of lifting off you can also get through them. So I have quite a big lead now on them. Here, this section I totally screwed up. That's coming up now. At least for my feeling here. Yeah, I really, this Nurburgring, that's Grand Prix part, that first corner I screwed up, I really don't know it that well and I don't like the track at all. But this corner I is quite easy, it went pretty okay, but then there is this other, call it an S or a chicane, and by the way, pretty cool, that rear of the F50. Yeah, I wanted to say it looks well like carbon, but it's actually not supposed to be carbon. I think it's supposed to be a mesh, like a grill, that black part where the prancing horse is on. Anyways, there is another S corner, and I really was thinking, but this is the more sharper one, the right-hander that I am now going to take over there. But then afterwards there is, or next up there is also an S, and somehow I was thinking that's also a super sharp one, so I totally overbraked. And yeah, also that very last part of the Noordschleife, yeah, you see how I just totally threw away the big lead that I had, so I really was not that fast there. Here, this one is where I am braking way too much, where I should have could just blast it through full throttle. You probably see that other F50 now getting close. Yeah, here you go. Here, this is the hairpin that I screwed up like an hour and a half ago or something when I was also in first place. I put it in reverse gear or something. The car didn't move anymore. This car you really need to keep it up in the revs, because at lower revs it barely moves. It's naturally aspirated, but it feels very that it has like this huge turbo lag thing. And then the other F50 overtook me and I had to retry again. But that mistake, that simple shifting mistake, really took me like an hour and a half of extra retries. Or maybe an hour. Alright, really happy with that one. Really pretty happy. So we have this ultimate challenge. I thought the Behemoth was already the ultimate challenge, but apparently not. We have breakthrough, speed challenge, overtake, time versus kudos. I don't like it. Cone sprint I like, and eliminator. No street race. Anyways, that will be for the next episode. Guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you there. And for the meantime, don't forget always to keep gaming. Slitter.